Welcome to the Align Business Podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey Kerslake, CEO of personal branding agency, Pine Gate Road, and business coach to online service providers, coaches, and educators. I know that you believe that living a great life is so much more than the business that you lead or the money that you make. Each week, we'll dive into what it actually takes to live an aligned life with a business that supports it. Let's do this. This show is brought to you by the Align Business Academy. Are you so ready to go all in with your online business and hit six figures this year in a way that feels fulfilling and true to you? Apply now for the Align Business Academy. This is our signature program that helps you scale your online business with one-on-one and community support, a framework for learning all things online business, and a proprietary 3-part system for scaling while working way less than you are now. Say hello to more freedom, income, and impact. Apply now at pinegateroad.com/academy. That's pinegateroad.com/academy. And we're back. Welcome to the show this week. I am thrilled to have you here with us today. We have one of our mastermind students, the Align Business Mastermind, on the show today. And I have seen just such huge, cool stuff happen for this woman. And I am really excited to have her share a little bit about her journey and how she has switched from being a student, freelancing, to a legit CEO, employer, and business owner. She made this shift over the past year. She's really been able to step into some amazing things, and it has happened pretty quickly for her. And while, yes, there are ups and downs and all of these things as we're growing, I think Haley is an amazing example of what it looks like to claim who you are and who you want to be, and then fully stepping in to become that person. So here is a little about Haley. She founded Propegy, a marketing agency, because she was tired of watching small business owners struggle to find a marketing solution that worked at their stage of business. Too many entrepreneurs get stuck in the bootstrapping mindset because, let's face it, employees are expensive and contract turnover is a major waste of time and resources. Propegy is the agency that creates marketing solutions designed to grow with you, combining the consistency of an in-house team with the flexibility of a freelancer. Propegy is the agency designed to help you grow and be by your side every step of the way. And Haley is going to share more about her amazing agency, the team she's brought on, and how she's really formed this unique niche in her industry. And I just can't wait for you to learn more about her and how she's been able to make and grow this business in the last year. So welcome to the show, Haley. Welcome, Haley. I am so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first podcast.
Oh, it is? Oh my gosh. Well, welcome. I'm excited to be the first podcasting person with you.
Hopefully not the last.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And yeah, so Haley is in our mastermind, and I've been working with Haley for a year almost.
It's like closer to 6 months, I think. I started at the end of July.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to dive into this because Haley has had some crazy growth in her business, in her life, all of the things. And I really wanted to bring her on just to share like what is possible. And I think when we see what is possible in other people's lives, when they're hitting certain milestones in their life or business or other things, I know sometimes we can be like, ooh, I'm jealous of that person. And my thing is like, let's see it. Let's open it up and show what is possible. Because if somebody else is able to do it, that means it's possible and we can do that too. And I feel like your story is so full of that. And I'm just so excited to dive in and share that with everybody. So let's start I don't know where you want to start. Tell us about you.
So I guess big picture right now, I'm a marketing strategist and I run a company called Propegy where we provide like in-house style marketing support to businesses who maybe don't have the resources for a full marketing team with a designer and an ads person and this and that. We're able to provide them that same experience for a lot less money because those teams are expensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't always do that though. I actually started as a social media manager when I graduated college, and I could not for the life of me find a job. I graduated in 2017, so I don't think it was like a particularly rough time, but still, when everyone's graduating college, like everyone is looking for all of those jobs. And I had a sociology degree, so I wasn't particularly marketable in a lot of like higher paying fields. And so I just started writing and doing social media management for a few different companies to try and get out of my parents' house. I love my parents, but I did not want to live in my hometown for much longer than the summer after graduation. So in that September, I packed up all my things. I was juggling 5 part-time jobs, and I moved to Philly.
Wow,
So
that's
I
a
was
lot.
yeah, it's a lot. I was working for a nonprofit as a marketing specialist. And that was the first kind of toe in the water of realizing that a lot of these companies with smaller budgets like need one person to wear a million hats for like 15 hours a week. And that was kind of what made me realize there's definitely something here. But it took a good 3 more years of freelancing and doing social media mostly to get to the point where I felt like I was ready to provide that to people. And so Propegy was kind of born during the pandemic. I think, 2020 has been my best year ever. But like this time last year, I think last April, I made $400.
Wow.
Like total. And so that was when I realized like I needed to change my business model, because just like jumping in and helping people out with random stuff wasn't going to get me the life that I wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all go into things like experimenting and trying to get the different jobs. And what did that feel like? What was that moment when you were like, okay, I got to shift something? And like, what did you do? How did you make that shift from random jobs to business owner?
Yeah. I think the shift kind of happened twice. I had one job where I had a 90-day review, and I accidentally saw an email before the 90-day review of like one of my supervisors emailing another supervisor, like, what do you think? Should we keep her? And seeing that email and like feeling the way that I felt about the job made me realize I was like, I can never work for anybody else again. So I threw them a curveball and I quit at my 90-day review.
Oh
And
my
then I was
gosh.
like, I have to make this work. I have to work for myself, and I'll do, whatever it takes. And I think that was the launch of me from like juggling part-time jobs to diving into being a full-time freelancer. But then it was another year and some change after that before I really realized that if I wanted to actually make a difference and actually, help these clients do what they deserve, I needed to stop thinking of myself as a freelancer and start thinking of myself as a business owner. And the second I stopped making client decisions, pricing decisions, all of that stuff for me, and started making it for my business, like that was when everything changed.
That is huge. And I think so many times, like as we're growing, we're just like, ooh, gotta make the money, gotta make rent. How can I just make this work? And you're like fitting the mold of what other people are setting up. And that huge shift of becoming CEO, of becoming a business owner is about how can I start to form my own processes? I'm the expert here and I know what is, best. We're gonna always temper that nicely with our humans, but we start to lead the processes when we're starting to step in as business owner. And I love that it was like 2 different shifts there for you. And I know you were also juggling this with you started grad school, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I graduated in December. So
Yay.
through most of this, I was in grad school. And I think the really funny thing was that every semester, like in the beginning of their classes, you introduce yourself and you say what you do. And I had like a completely different introduction to the same cohort of people every single semester. Like, so the first semester I was like, I freelance, I help businesses, whatever. And then the second semester I was like, I work at a bowling alley. And then the third semester I was like, I don't even know what I do anymore. And then by the end, I was like, I run a company. And actually at graduation, like one of the deans of one of the departments, I guess, had looked at my website and they like highlighted that I built a company during the pandemic. And I think that was when it hit me that I was like, I'm actually doing something. You know, I still felt like just freelancer, and my team was really small, and I was like, I don't know if this like really matters. And then to see that someone who I'd never spoken to before, I'd never interacted with before, like saw my website and felt that it was worth highlighting, I was like, okay, I am onto something here.
Yeah.
This is like a direction.
You absolutely are. It's incredible. And you're being like very humble right now with your like beginnings. And can we also talk about how you started this all with a website?
Oh, yeah. So I didn't.
Because you're talking about the website, but I know like even getting the website, you were like, yeah, I'm like, I have all these clients and I'm hitting 10K months and like I haven't had my website up, or what was that whole situation?
Yeah. So the website was just like a pain in the butt. And I think part of why it was such a difficult thing for me to come up with was I didn't know who I was or what I was doing or what I really had to offer. So I've owned a domain name for a really long time, and there's technically been stuff on it for a really long time. But, you know, by the time I finished writing out, you know, Haley is a copywriter who can help you do X, Y, and Z, I was like, over here doing paid ad work and like up here doing graphic design. And so I kind of just abandoned the website because it never really reflected who I was or what I was doing. But again, that was when I really decided to step into I run a company and not I can just help you do whatever you need. Then it was a lot easier to realize like, this is my messaging, this is who I want to speak to, and this is what I want, you know, the world to see when they come across my company. It also helped that I was finally making enough money to justify having someone else do the website for me, because prior to that, like, you can waste hours trying to DIY that stuff. And I certainly had. So it was never something I was proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Websites, while obviously I have a web design agency, I love them. I feel like I have a like almost a love-hate relationship with them, because I think sometimes they can be this barrier to actually putting yourself out there. And I know that you can grow a really successful business without a website that represents you. And you're proof of that. I think you were hitting your consistent 10K months before you had your solid website up, I think. Maybe not.
I had them projected, but I wasn't hitting them yet. So I had like the people in the pipeline to get there, but I wasn't actually like contracts in hand working.
So maybe the website was like a catalyst for you stepping in to that new version of you.
The website was definitely like, it gave me the confidence and authority that I felt like I needed to say yes and jump into some of those bigger jobs. Because before that, like I didn't really have a portfolio, and I still don't really have a portfolio, because I've done, and we as a company have done 17 million different things for 17 million different companies. And every time I try to cohesively put that into something, it just seems ugly and messy, and like I don't enjoy it. But once I had the website, like even without a big fancy portfolio, I just felt so much more confident applying to things and being like, I'm legit, here's my site. If you need specific things I've done, I can provide them to you. But having that site, like people stopped asking, which was really nice.
That's cool. Similarly with Pine Gate Road, we do the same thing. We haven't put new work up in like 3 years. It's really ridiculous. And I need to get on this. But we have enough people inquiring and referrals happening that if people are in that process, we're just like, here are some websites that we've done and launched, go look at them. And they relate to what you're doing, but we don't have really a lot of things up on our website, and it still works. So I feel like the website is like, it can help you really it's almost like that internal shift, even though it's that
Mhm.
external thing. It's like how you are showing up for others to see and experience you and your business. So having that out there in a good way can just be that internal confidence boost that you need in order to go after your dreams. And I've seen that happen so many times, but it doesn't have to be the thing. And you
Yeah.
totally can make awesome things happen without a website too. So that's my speech.
The web designer talking about websites being, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they can be huge. Like I always, whenever we redo our website, like I always feel this like stagnation and I'm like, ooh, we probably need a website refresh because that really helps me form like where the business is heading. And it just helps give that whole like, ooh, I'm going to dive into everything and we're going to like present ourselves to the world in this way. And it always creates like more energy flowing and more clients coming in and all of that good stuff. So I believe in them and I never want them to be a barrier for people actually putting their things out there and getting clients.
Yeah, I think what I've learned from this is that like you can build a great business if you provide a great product or service. Like you don't need a website to tell people that, as long as the people you work with are telling people that.
Yes.
Because that's how I built up to where I was just referrals.
Mm-hmm.
But like in order to get people who've never heard of you before to decide that you're worth buying into, like then maybe, yeah, a website's probably a good idea.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay. So we've kind of gotten in your journey and you're at this place where you are, you're an agency or a business owner. Do you call yourself an agency?
Uh, yes and no. We're trying to figure out the best way to talk about us right now. Because we're not like other marketing agencies, but like every marketing agency says they're not like other marketing agencies. But I think the way that we structure our packages and the way that we, under promise and over deliver and that type of relationship that we build with our clients, like it's more than an agency. But I guess I would call it an agency for simplicity's sake because I don't have
Mm-hmm.
time to say all that every time I tell people what I do.
Totally. So you're stepping into this, you are getting consistent retainer clients. Like, what does that now look like for your life, for just everything? Because you've made some incredible moves, like within those 6 months of making that happen.
Yeah, I think the combination of graduating school and then having that strategic degree, because my degree is in strategic advertising and marketing. I feel like that helped me with an internal shift of like stepping into just doing the strategy and knowing that I can create a cohesive and well-rounded strategy and then pass it off to someone else to do a lot of the writing and the creating. That's been a big shift of how I spend my time. So I used to spend, lots of time on Zoom with clients, lots of time in Google Docs figuring out strategy. But then on top of that, lots of time editing photos, lots of time writing social captions, lots of time doing blogs. I was doing so much by myself for so long that now I have people to help me with the day-to-day stuff, and I get to spend more time like visioning for myself and visioning for my clients and visioning for my team and our future. I think I might have a little bit too much visioning time right now because I'm like considering starting another business and I don't think I really have the time for that. But it's been a lot more of like organizing and strategizing and a lot less typing, which I am enjoying.
I love that. And I was very similar because all of a sudden well, first of all, I set it all up so I could go have a baby. So that was like the thing taking up my time. And then as soon as Carter was generally old enough and I was like, okay, I want to go back to work. Like that is feeling really aligned for me. I was like, oh, I'm going to start the Align business. And like, I mean, it was already going, but I like remade it into its like own business outside of Pine Gate Road. And it is funny. Like, I think as entrepreneurial people, that free time turns into how can I better the world with these other services and like ideas. And I don't know if that will ever turn off. I'm like, in the next decade, I'll probably have like 30 businesses and it'll just be what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think what's happening for me is like when I started my business, everyone that I looked up to was like married and either having a baby or trying to have a baby. So everyone was setting their businesses up so that they could do the full-time mom, full-time business owner thing. And because that's everyone that I've looked up to and learned from, like that's where I'm at. But I'm not having a baby. So I have this like void in my life. I'm like, what can I fill this with?
Ooh, okay. Well, we're gonna talk about that on some coaching calls then and
Oh
give you
yeah.
some fun purpose.
Have some
um,
ideas.
yeah, we have our retreat coming up next week, so maybe we can vision some exciting new things for you. um,
Definitely.
that's always the best. And I think like I did have the baby, but then I did weirdly have the free time too. So it's like, ooh, what can I do now? And what do I want to step into? It's a fun, cool place to be. And I love that you've been able to step into that so quickly and where you are now. So you mentioned obviously bringing on help. I am in awe of what you have done. And Haley brought on an employee as her first person. And that is, I, I know if you've listened to my last episode that came out with this new season, I talked about the transition of going from contractors to an employees and like what a big internal shift that was inside of me and like how I am positioning the business and how it's impacting the world beyond just my life. And I feel like that's a huge thing. And you just went for it. So, can we talk about not only bringing on help, but then, that extra layer of being financially responsible for other people and their livelihood? I know it's not that with employees, there's a lot of nuances and it doesn't have to feel that
Mhm.
big, but it does for me. And so I don't know, did you feel that? What was this transition like of bringing on help and all of that?
Yeah, so I dabbled with having help before I hired my employee. I'd had a couple different contractors come in to do some social posts for when I was overwhelmed because there was one point in grad school that I was juggling like five pretty big time retainer clients and school, and I was moving, and like I had all of this stuff happening. And I was like, I don't get some help, I'm going to explode. So I'd had a couple contractors that I'd worked with, and I had a VA who has really stepped into this amazing account manager operations role. But at first, she was really just helping me like schedule emails and stuff. So I knew what it was like to work with contractors, and I'd understood the things that I didn't like. And through talking about it at ABA and then talking to Meg and thinking of through like the finances of an employee versus a contractor, I realized that I wasn't going to get rid of the contractor things that I didn't like unless I didn't hire a contractor. Um, and then also just it sounds bad, but like the way that you can pay an employee versus a contractor is just so much more appealing because it's really not more expensive. Um, and then just the flexibility of, being able to start at a low hourly number of hours and work up as we grew. I don't know, it just made sense. And I wanted someone who cared about Propegy and could grow to care about it as much as I did. And I knew I wasn't going to get that with a contractor who was working with a bunch of other clients and doing all of these other things and trying to grow their own business.
I love that. And that was the same thing. I intentionally brought on other people who are growing their own businesses to support our students who are growing their own businesses. And then as the bigger picture grew, I think I didn't even think that big because I had not experienced like what it was even like to step into those next things. And I just knew I needed people who were really excited about the Align business and ready to grow into this job, the role, like grow with me. And that comes with employees and it's a whole nother thing. And yeah, I love how you were able to take that on and really hold that bigger vision that you had, and really see what you didn't like about working with contractors and what was not allowed there technically. I think a lot of online business owners in particular treat contractors like employees,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know the difference. But when you really get down to the nitty gritty, and now with pandemic and all of the things, people definitely have there's, more laws, regulations, things coming up because so many people are working from home. So many people are working for themselves. We need to be really clear about what we're doing now, where before it was kind of like the wild, wild west of the internet land. And now people are like, oh, everybody is on the internet doing their jobs, and we're going to really figure this out now. So, okay. So where you are now, you did some exciting things. Where you are located, can you share?
Yeah, I bought a house. Did not think that was gonna happen, at least not this soon. My boyfriend was actually citing it as a proof that I'm impulsive earlier this week. Yeah, so I said January 1st, I was like, I'm gonna buy a house this year. And then I had an offer accepted on a house like 2 weeks later. And my boyfriend was like, in what world is that not impulsive? But yeah, it is absolutely crazy to think that like this time last year, I was moving from the crummiest 1-bedroom apartment. Like I had cockroaches. I had a family of mice living in my living in my oven. I had like so many creepy crawlies. The carpet was fuchsia, and I was moving from there into like this tiny studio because it was the only place that was nicer that I could still afford. And to think that like, first, I moved 4 times in 1 year. Who am I? And second, like that now I have a whole house. Like I have rooms for specific purposes. I don't live in just one room. And absolutely none of it would be possible if it wasn't for really getting my business together and taking myself seriously.
Yeah. It's just so cool and incredible to see that, like, what that was able to achieve in your life so quickly.
Yeah, I spent my entire time living in Philadelphia since graduating college, like feeling unsettled and feeling like there was always a reason to go somewhere else or do something else, or like the rug was going to get pulled out from in front of me or from under me. And now I'm like, I'm home and this is my home and no one can change that. The rent's not going to go up one day and I can't afford it anymore. Or if somehow my monthly expenses do increase, like I can make more money and I can fix it. And I feel so much more in control than I was when I first moved here, or even just, last year.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when it comes to your actual like business model, things like that, can you kind of share what you do specifically, how you niche down, and how you started forming some of your packages and like really getting to be into that like business outside of just freelancing?
Yeah, so we're actually in the very messy middle of figuring that out right now. We have certain things that we've done over and over enough that we've got systems for them. Like we know how to take someone from 0 to 100 for their social media, or how to run, a LinkedIn lead gen program to help them grow their personal network. But there's definitely, outside of that, there's a lot more random things that come up, and we're still working through the best way to organize that within our own business of like who deals with what. But primarily we have an account manager who is my former VA, I guess technically still my VA, and everything goes through her. She's kind of like your Janet.
Yes.
She handles all of the timelines. She manages everything in ClickUp, tells me what I'm supposed to do. Like she is the engine behind this company. And then we have a few designers that we'll work with if we need some like bigger stuff. But fortunately, when I hired Marianne, who's my employee, they are fantastic at whipping things up in Canva. So we do a lot of collaboration on things. We'll do a lot of, we're working in a Google Doc at the same time, just getting two brains into it. But there's still a lot of like the scheduling and the editing and the approving that's falling on me. And so we're working right now to bring on a technical assistant who can handle basically all of the tech, making sure that all of our forms that we send to clients for submitting things are set up properly, making sure that, they're scheduling all of the client emails and social and stuff. So it's all within one kind of silo. And then from there, we're hoping to bring more people onto the content team so that hopefully Marianne can lead them, and I can focus more on bringing in clients and providing them with that higher level strategy. We're exploring marketing intensives right now, which will hopefully help set the stage. And then if people want to continue with us on retainer, then they would be handed over to Marianne to really lead that and take charge. I'm like so impressed every day with how well they've come into the company and how well they can just accomplish everything that I envision for us and for them. And I really want them to be able to take ownership of that and continue to grow in the company as much as we do.
It's so cool to see that happen. And I think at first when you're handing things off, especially going from freelancer to business owner, you're so used to being in control of everything. And it can be this huge emotional shift to actually give off what you're doing. And I always say there's like about that 3-month transition before they know, they can start to fully be in that role. And it's just incredible, like what can happen after that. And now I feel like I have gotten to the point where in my business, people are coming up with solutions. They are, coming to the table with new ideas that are better than I ever could have had. And they're, just the other day, one of our new coaches, she has a master's in instructional design. Like, that's incredible. So she slacked me. She's like, hey, Kelsey, been going through all the lessons. And I think there's all these opportunities to make sure that, they're designed in a way where people are really retaining more of the information that you're putting out there. Let me know if you want me to work on that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, please take it over. I just love being able to facilitate a company where people can come in and just like rock their expertise and really make it a better place than I ever could. And it's just cool when you can build up that trust. And it does take working through the, handing it off in the first place, learning how to delegate and trusting that they can take that over. But once you kind of get over that little hump and really truly trust your people, it's cool.
Yeah. I don't think I ever had problems trusting them. Because from the beginning, I would give them something to accomplish and they would write it and I would approve it. And I would be like, why do I even need to approve this? Like, they're always fantastic. So I think it's funny that we have this like rigid approval process, because at this point it's just a formality. Like, I don't remember the last time I had to change something. But that type of, dedication, desire to do it right, and desire to be good for the company and not just good for the individual task. Like, that's what comes with having an employee, I think.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And especially as we're smaller businesses, we're not these like, billion-dollar organizations. We can really build in these opportunities for people to grow, implement change, and like see it happen really quickly. Mm-hmm. And I know as an employee in a billion-dollar organization, that was not the case. And it was something, I can't expect things to be moving that quickly. And my heart was like, it hurt being there and not being able to see things change quickly. When I knew the market needed some certain thing, not I, but whatever, like me, little like associate designer being like, let's change the whole landscape of this billion-dollar industry. Like, Kelsey, sit down in your chair. That's not your job.
There really is, though, like this monumental shift that goes along with going from being, an associate or an entry level, whatever, to then, where your voice doesn't really matter. Like, no matter how much they tell you your voice matters, like, you don't really have much agency for change. So then, like, leading a company where not only does your voice kind of matter the most, but like you have the opportunity to give your employees voices and give the people who work for you the opportunity to make a difference and to matter. And I think that instilling that sense of purpose into the people that work for you is like the best way to create a company that is going to last.
Thanks. Yes, I agree. I didn't even think about that longevity wise. I, as you know, I'm a big feelings person. So I'm just like, what feels the best here? And it's always, how can I make this an environment that feels awesome for everybody involved? And if it's not, then how can we help support you take a next step that is elsewhere if this is not feeling the right way? So I think that's where I usually come from, but I love that you said like that's how you make things last. And maybe that's why things are lasting and they keep going. And I didn't even know it. It was me doing it on feelings.
Well, I just think that like when I did work for other companies, there was this big emphasis on periodic, check-ins and feedback and review sessions, but like nothing was ever done with any of that feedback. So it was like, what's the point in caring and providing my opinion if I'm being very implicitly told that it doesn't matter? And I knew that I never wanted to make the people who work with or for me feel that way.
Totally. I love that you're taking that and bringing it into your business, making it better. So I know that, I don't know if you want to share this or not, but you have done a really cool thing with like positioning who your marketing agency serves. First of all, you have a really cool positioning factor, and then how you go and get your leads. And I think it's just really cool. And if you're open to sharing this, I think it's just interesting because marketing agencies are marketing agencies are marketing agencies. And what really brings the difference here is that positioning factor, how you are uniquely serving the exact people that you need to serve in a way that makes sense for them. And I'd love for you to share about this if you're open to it.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on earlier how the way we provide our services was inspired by a part-time marketing specialist job that I got when I first graduated college. I was the social media manager, the graphic designer, the copywriter, if we did ads, the ad manager. Like I did all of that. And not only was I wildly underqualified, I was also weirdly stuck to doing it in a specific hourly time frame. And I knew that that type of job description was something that my agency or even just me could do because I'd done it before and I know more now. So I figured, why not apply to those jobs? So every week I spend about an hour on Indeed looking for entry-level marketing specialist jobs because marketing specialist is an entry-level position for whatever reason. Marketing associates, entry social media managers, basically anything that is either full-time with a very low salary or part-time with an hourly rate that I can work with. And then we have a cover letter that introduces our agency and how we work, a resume that talks through some of our experiences and how we've provided that job experience or that employee experience for other companies. And then we basically say, you have this job description, you have this posted rate, we'll do that for that amount of money. Just don't worry about the hours. And so far, it's worked better than any other lead gen strategy I've tried. It feels a lot less icky than connecting with people on LinkedIn to try and sell them on something. It's a lot easier than growing your Instagram because that's something I really struggle with, is showing up on Instagram and finding my people there. So yeah, we just apply on Indeed. And we did it, last month was the first month that we did it, and I got one client that way. Which for about 4 hours of lead gen, I think is a pretty good return rate. And we had a few interviews too. It was probably, maybe I applied to 100, 150 jobs, 4 or 5 interviews, and then one new client. So I
That's
think the longer
awesome.
we do it, the more streamlined and effective it'll be. But it's been a lot of fun so
Absolutely.
far.
Awesome. And yeah, for people saying like one client, like that is still, you work with people in a larger capacity. So it's like tens of thousands of dollars coming in when
Yeah.
you land one client.
Yeah. So one
Yeah.
client is usually we work for them with at least 6 months. And typically, we've been with our longest client for a little over 3 years, and I've only been in business for 3.5. So we definitely stick around.
Yes. And I think it's so cool to position yourself and like integrate into what people are already asking for and looking for. Like people need marketing people. And so you can come in and deliver that higher level expertise as an agency, and be able to meet the prices that people are willing to pay for a marketing assistant, which is amazing.
That's
um,
what we're really hoping to get into also with this marketing intensive, and having that be like an introductory offer, so that if companies, this is their first marketing hire, they think they need X, Y, and Z, we can start off by giving that higher level expert opinion of, no, actually you need ABC, but we can still do it for what you need to pay price wise. I think
yeah.
that's what's more important to us, is providing them with a good experience at a fair price, instead of just having like an astronomical agency hourly rate and hoping that we can like rack up enough billable hours, because that's
Right.
not
Yeah.
enjoyable to
Uh,
anybody.
billable hours make me want to barf, but that's just me.
No, I don't think it's just you.
And I, and I'm you doing those VIP days. I think it's cool because it's almost like it's like marketing director for the day,
Yeah.
right? And so that is priced at like what a marketing director would come in and that service that they would provide. But you're not hiring a marketing director for a year. It's for one day, which is
Yeah.
really accessible.
Yeah, we're working through a lot of, I think, really interesting ways to up that experience and up that value, and give them, the high level, high touch work, while still keeping that, everyday rate at something that feels comfortable and affordable for them. And
Totally.
hopefully, post COVID, we can do some in person, because I think that would be really fun too, getting the whole
Mm.
team in on it.
Yes. And then you'll have a studio and maybe, yeah, that'd be
Maybe
cool.
it's an option. I think working from home is like so nice to work from home. I don't know how much any of us are really jumping at the thought of being in person somewhere, but
True.
renting a studio space, working out of a co-working space, something like that, if we get those intensives in person, I think would be really cool.
I love it. And is your employee in local to you?
Yeah, I think they live like 10 minutes away from me, and I may or
Ooh.
may not have seen them at Target one time. But I was like, the first time we meet is not going to be in sweatpants at Target.
That's so fun. That's so cool. You haven't, like, I haven't met most of my team too, but it seems so weird because we've been working together for years and we Zoom and all the things, but they're all over the place. And
Yeah.
COVID made it extra hard this year. So, all right, Haley, thank you for being here with me. Do you have any last parting words of advice for our audience before we wrap up here?
Yeah. I think that the lesson I've learned from even just talking about my experience right now is that, like, put yourself in the shoes of what you want to be and just say you're that. So I wasn't a business owner when I started talking about my business and my team and what we have to offer. But doing that gave me the power to build a business and have a team and be able to offer those things. So I think just like step into your own shoes and like say what you want to do and do it.
Yes, that's my favorite saying is this is who I am now. And you
Yeah.
just decide who you are and become it that day and start acting as if you are that person. And then it just happens over
Mm-hmm.
time. So it might feel weird and scary, but I love that. And you're so proof that that is so possible. And you made it happen like every step along your journey. So thank you for sharing all of that today.
Thank
So
you for having me.
yes, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you guys can follow Propegy at Propegy, Propegi on Instagram, or I am Haley E. Johnson, HALEYE Johnson.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you coming and sharing all of this today with me and everybody listening.
My first podcast wasn't painful.
Woo!
I'm so happy.
Yes, you did it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you've enjoyed the show, please take a few seconds right now to leave a rating and review on iTunes. It's so simple and helps us so much. This is incredibly helpful for getting this show into more ears so that we can make even more impact. I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an amazing week. You've got this.